Welcome back to the leather shop. We're starting to wrap up the ultimate fast draw holster. Let's get busy. I've done a few things off camera. I made my cross strap buckle belts, and this is going to be my leg tie. All I did was punch a slot and rivet on a buckle. Of course, I dyed these to match the holster. I also attached the first cross strap to the skirt. I used Chicago screws, and in order to put these screws in, I did something that I rarely do, and I drilled holes because there's steel in there and you can't just punch holes through the steel. But I've got these holes ready to put the second cross strap on, and I wanted to show you how I do that. In order to figure out what size you want this to buckle at, I'm just going to approximate where that was because I already have this marked. Pull this through till it's as tight as you want it, and then take and mark where your buckle tongue is going to be. I've got my rotary punch. Now I've got that hole. You want to be careful with the steel liner not to open and close this a lot, because you can crack that steel and then you lose a lot of what you've worked for. Just going to buckle that one on. And now I'm going to pull this one tight. You can see I've got these fairly snug the way they buckle together. Now I'm going to eyeball this strap straight in line with these two holes. I'm going to take my scribe ball. Actually, first you want to make sure that buckle is where you want it to be, and that is where I want it to be. Down through the center of that hole, and I left 2 marks there. Now I just know that the largest hole on my rotary punch, which is a CS Osborne, is the right size for a Chicago screw. I'm just centering the punch on my mark. You can see it there, I think. Now I'm still putting this together. I haven't figured out exactly. I haven't finished, I should say, where everything's going to go. I have to punch holes for the leg tie. That'll be the same thing that we're doing right now. And I'm going to dye and burnish these edges yet. So I don't want this attached permanently. When I get these to where I want them attached permanently, I will take blue Loctite and fill this Chicago screw and then screw it all together. And that makes the Chicago screws stay very, very well, to the point of you probably aren't going to get it apart again. If you want to be able to take Chicago screws apart in the future, it's a good idea not to use that much Loctite. Because I have had made some. What I'm doing right now is I'm taking my scratch hole, and I just enlarged that hole a little bit because the Chicago screw didn't want to go through. You can give it a little tap at the end, almost like an impact driver. That helps tighten it up, which I don't really need it tight right now because I'm, like I said, I'm still putting it together and taking it apart, putting it together and taking it apart. That's pretty snug there. I like that. Push the tail through. And I will trim these tails to make them a little more aesthetic. But for right now, I just want it out of my way. I'm going to leave it long. Cut it off. And that's how you attach, or how I attached, these cross straps. Not very difficult. Now I'm going to show you how I finish my edges. And I'll just tell you what I'm going to do for the rest. And then we'll come back in another video later with an overview of the holster and conclusion. Because we are basically done. It's a good idea to wear gloves. Do what I say, not what I do. Foam brush. This is the same color dye that I used on the holster. I like these foam brushes. I've tried other things. The sheepskin works very well as well. Some of the older books and saddle makers will tell you to use sheepskin for applying dye, but these are 50 cents at the local hardware store. Usually just throw it away when I'm done with the dyeing. Alright, so now I've dyed that edge. Now I'm going to take my glycerin saddle soap while the dye is still wet. I'm going to rub that in there. Get it nice and soaked up. Then I'm going to take my wood slicker right here. And while that saddle soap and dye are both still wet, you can rub that edge up. Make it look real pretty. And I'll do that to all these edges. And make the leg tie. Get that attached. And then the ultimate fast draw holster will be done. Like I said, I'll come back when it's done, make another video, overview. I'm going to put the lid on this. Kind of flirting with disaster there.